It's a Labor Day Monday, and we are back on CBS Sports Network with Emory Hunt and Tom Casale. I do want to get into some bets, gentlemen, the group of 5 FCS bets, some early looks, but I have one more storyline question, Tom. This time I'm going to start with you. Boise State fell to UCF. Is there still hope for this team this season?
There's hope they can still win the Mountain West, but they're not going to go to the college football playoff unless they beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame, which I don't see. They still have to play at Air Force. They still have the Mountain West championship game. So there's just no room for error. When you throw that Notre Dame game in there, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. I think it's over.
Emory, it wasn't only a loss. I mean, they looked pretty bad in that loss. What are your hopes for this team?
They got pushed around by South Florida, man, which now makes that South Florida game this upcoming weekend pretty intriguing. But when you think about Boise, now you have to deal with a revamped Air Force, and UNLV figured out how to play defense. They gave up 1 billion yards in week 1. They came back last week against Sam Houston and scored touchdowns on defense. So at the end of the day, now you look at UNLV 2-0. You look at Air Force that looks to carry on what they did to finish last year with a 4-0 record. So it has gotten tougher in the Mountain West. And I agree with Tom, they're not making a college football playoff.
Yeah, I think there was, we see some of this line movement, gentlemen, and we saw that South Florida line just continue to crash up until kickoff. And certainly that line movement was a good indication of how things were going to go. Emory, let's get some early Mountain West bets out there, maybe for a Friday or a Saturday. What you got?
UNLV and their newfound defense against UCLA. I was just not impressed with UCLA on offense, man. It looked ugly on offense. And so what is the next?
All right. We're going with UNLV money line versus UCLA. Tom, talk to me about New Mexico and Idaho State.
Yeah, this line isn't out yet because Idaho State's an FCS team. But one of the takeaways I took from week 1 was New Mexico actually looked like a competent football team against Michigan. They bring in Jason Eck from Idaho, who's one of my favorite FCS coaches, big emotional guy. I love him. But the thing I like is Eck actually faced Idaho State the last 3 seasons. How'd that go? 3-0. He won by a combined score of 141-45. So he knows this team. And you say, well, didn't Idaho State just play UNLV tough? Yeah, that was week 0. The next week, they got blasted by Southern Utah, 46-24. So if you get a good number with New Mexico, I think they win easy this week.
All right. All eyes on New Mexico over Idaho State. Let's look for that number. How about, Tom, an early AAC bet for Friday or Saturday?
Yeah, well, UAB could be in a little trouble this week. They
play Navy. Now, let's see. What did UAB do in their first game? They played Alabama State. They gave up 42 points and 200 yards rushing. Alabama State averaged 8 yards per play and went 13 of 15 on third down. Not good. Navy, I think, is going to roll here. They scored 41 on UAB last season. Let's be honest, the Trent Dilfer to UAB thing's just not working. I don't think he's going to last there much longer. I think Navy rolls on the ground and covers the 3 touchdowns.
All right, and we'll see if we can get Emory back, but let's move along, Tom, to an early FCS bet, and we keep talking about Idaho State. Let's talk about Idaho.
Yeah, Idaho's playing St. Thomas this week. They're coming back home. So
I mentioned Jason Eck left Idaho. They also lost 20 transfers. So I wanted to see how their defense looked against Washington State. Well, it looked really good. They only allowed 13 points, 211 total yards, and 3 rushing yards. So this is one of the best FCS programs there is, Idaho, and they're really tough to beat at home. So almost pulled the upset last week, coming back home against St. Thomas. I think Idaho blows them out this week.
All right, Tom, while we have maybe just another minute or so, we know Emory likes UNLV money line versus UCLA. You just talked about UNLV in terms of what they did in week 1 specifically. Do you have any thoughts on UCLA or UNLV in that game?
Yeah, UCLA didn't look good. The only thing I'll say
is, Utah was a team I liked coming into the season. I thought they were going to be really good on defense, and they add Devin Dampier at quarterback. So he was the X factor, and boy, did he look good. I mean, that Utah looked really, really good. So I'm just not sure if that's more Utah or more UCLA. We'll find out this week, but Utah with Dampier at quarterback is really dangerous. Although Emory's right, UCLA looked out of sorts offensively.
Well, Emory is usually right. Let's bring Emory back on because he's still got a couple of picks to give out, including that AAC bet. Now, Tom, you went with Navy minus 21.5 over UAB. Emory, you like UTSA minus 4.5 versus Texas State. Maybe
Two
he's
words
not coming back. There he goes. Go ahead.
2 words. Robert Henry, the outstanding tailback for UTSA, tremendous talent. I think he's going to run up and down the field against that Bobcats defense. He had a terrific debut last week against Texas A&M. Look for him to bounce back, double back, and have another outstanding performance on the ground.
All right, and Emory, give us one more while we've got you. An FCS bet for Friday or Saturday.
Andrew Body, get used to the name. This is a tremendous quarterback. Nearly pulled off the upset versus UAB. I like them and that offense over Southern, and that defense is leaky as you know what. So look for Alabama State to roll in that ball game, thanks in part to Andrew Body, the quarterback.
I love these FCS picks. I really do. This is going to be a really good. I know you guys do the college football show too, where you'll probably have some FCS and Group of 5 picks, but just love this segment in particular because I do think there's so much value in these slightly softer markets. Emory Hunt, thank you. Tom Casale, thank you.